speaker in this first session is Maryetta Ables from Forces. Maryetta, over to you.
Thank you. Now, yep, it's on. I thought it was earlier, but I wasn't going to mess with it to see. I'd like to thank TICAP, the International Coalition Against Prohibition, for inviting me here today. And I'm very honored that all of you people have showed up today, so hopefully I won't be too boring. I'm going to make some gross presumptions because I've been asked to talk about civil society and prohibition. And since we're in the European Union, I'm going to address that from the European Union perspective instead of the United States, which would make no sense to you anyway. Prohibition didn't evolve overnight. We know that, and we're not going to change it overnight. But do we really understand what has happened? I've been calling him Mike ever since I got here. Mike and Patrick both alluded to, over the last decade, things have really snowballed. And I'm going to address that to some degree. What snowballed? How did this happen so quickly? But right now, I'm finding out that you have a new country. As of December 1st, 2009, the European Union went from a corporate agreement between countries to a constitutionalized country with rights of citizens. So I have spent hundreds of hours researching your new country because I didn't think I was very good at being a North American coming here to tell you how your country works. So I run this past a couple of Europeans, so hopefully we do not open mouth and insert foot. But because I have to stay focused on civil society and prohibition, I'm not going to touch on the full picture. I'm just going to take a small slice of it. So if you know something that I don't talk about, it's not that I'm omitting it on purpose. Okay, so December 1st, 2009, the European Union became a country. You have, according to the Lisbon Treaty, rights as citizens now. Businesses have rights, and so on and so forth. What I'd like to do is get 3 people out of the audience. Can I get 3 volunteers, or do I have to pick 3 people? Oh, I'm going to have to pick them. Okay, we'll pick it by easy to stand up. Brenda, and you, sir. Can I get you 3 up here? Just for a second. Just for a second. Okay. Okay. Prior to December 1st, 2009, you had the United Nations, you had the European Union, and you had the European Economic and Social Council. Okay? Not council, committee, excuse me. Okay, so these 3 entities work together. The European Union, or the United Nations, is an organization of member countries. Okay, be it Russia, United States, Canada, Australia, whoever. If you want to be a member of the United Nations, you pay your dues and you agree that whatever the United Nations says, you're going to go along with it to a certain degree. Okay? With the advent of December 1st, 2009, the European Union became a country with a constitution and citizens rights. Okay? And the European Union is not defined as a member country like the United States or Australia or anywhere else. The European Union is, excuse me, a partner. Okay? When you have a business situation and a company has partners, they do whatever works for the company. They are standing arm in arm, lockstep together. If you say it works and I say okay, we do it together even if we have apprehensions. Okay, where does the European Economic and Social Committee come in on this? This is the voice of the people that the European Union and the United Nations have always said the citizens provide our agenda through the Economic and Social Committee. Well, the Economic and Social Committee is now a partner to the European Union because it's now a country. I'm trying to make a physical showing here to make you make the connection that they're not separate entities anymore legally on paper. Yes, this one has an office in Brussels, so that's okay. This one has an office on a different building in Brussels, and this one has an office in New York City, United States. But they are still arm-locked together. Okay, so that takes care of 20 pages of my 21-page presentation. Christoph made me document. This will all be online with links. Go ahead and sit down. Thank you very much. Give them a big hand for cooperating. All this will be online with links because this is kind of new to most Europeans, I'm finding out. When the society in general, well, let me back up and do some definitions. The EU is now a partner, even though it's an independent country with a constitution and citizens, it is still a partner of the United Nations. And part of the United Nations treaties or agreement when they formed it was to abide by all existing and future United Nations treaties. So you have the Millennium Treaty, which will talk a lot about sustainability. You have the Agenda 21 Treaty, which again talks about sustainability. You've got the Treaty of Lisbon and the human rights treaties. All of these treaties implement different forms of lifestyle changes, business changes, whatever, that is completely different than what you and your country and your culture and your society may be comfortable with or even want. But yet your members of parliament or members of European Parliament are legally obligated to implement these laws because they're signatory to the treaty. So a lot of your prohibitions are coming in through the treaties. And that's one of the points I wanted to make. But what brings the MEP or the MP to the point that they want to implement it? Well, that's where the European Economic and Social Committee will come in. And I'm going to try to talk about that quite a bit, not to give it major importance, but to make you realize it exists. Mike and Patrick both indicated that over the last 10 years, everything had really escalated in prohibitions. And one of the reasons is the organization of the non-government organizations on an international level via the United Nations. The United Nations has an organization within it called the Economic and Social Council. Then every area of the world has an Economic and Social Committee. The European Union has the European Economic and Social Committee. When they were drawing up the Lisbon Treaty and some of the other documents, they actually defined the non-government organizations that hold what the United Nations calls consultative status, and there's 3 levels of that, with the United Nations. Those organizations were defined as organized civil society. Then there's another definition for civil society. Say, now I didn't research all your organizations here. Say you have a European Cancer Association, similar to the American Cancer Association. The American Cancer or European Cancer Association would hold consultative status with the United Nations. Then say the local lung association was affiliated with the European Local Cancer Society. So the European Cancer Society would be the consultative status, would be the organized civil society. The local Cancer Society that's not holding consultative status but affiliated with European, they would be a civil society organization. Now these are parliamentarian definitions per se, worked out in the treaties. Any organization that's not affiliated with the European Economic Social Committee is called a populist organization. That's what TICAP is, that's what Forces is, that's what the members of TICAP are as organizations, because we're not affiliated with an organization that holds consultative